This is a very interesting pasuk, which most people just read right through it without contemplating the proper understanding of it. Pasuk says in this week's Parshas Toldos Chav Tes, Bafei Chav Tes, that Yaakov he made a type of stew. They call it the lentil soup. Ve'avoy Esav min asada. Esav comes in from the field. U'ayif. He's very tired. V'yomer Esav al Yaakov. Esav tells Yaakov, Haliteini no min ha'adoyim hazeh. Give me some of this red stuff. Pour it for me. Ki ayif anoichi, I'm tired. The Torah then teaches us Al Kain Karosh Shmoi Edom. Because of this incident, Esav's name is called Edom. Red. You wanted something red. Red type of stew. His name is called Edom. It's very peculiar because his entire name is based on this seemingly minor act, negative act that Esav was involved with. But we know that the Medrash Rabbah teaches us as well, as if you look on this pasuk, the Targum Yonasan ben Uziel says, Esav transgressed 5 very severe sins on that day. In the language of Targum Yonasan ben Uziel, Chamesh Avidun Avor Behahu Yoima. Esav transgressed 5 sins on that day. Palach Pulchana, the terrible sin of idolatry. Nuchra, foreign idolatry. Shafach Adama Zachaya, he spilled innocent red blood. This means he murdered someone. Balkol ulmosa me'arasa, and he cohabited with an engaged woman, or all engaged women. The kafir b'chay alma, and he denied God's existence. Chay alma da'asi ba'asa yach b'chayr. He denied the next world, God's existence, and he belittled the firstborn right. Obvious question is, out of those 5 acts, plus this, with a little soup, he was hungry, which one's the worst? You know what the Zohar says? Zohar asks another question. So Yaakov sold him, he ripped him off, so to say. Esav thought he was getting a good deal. Yaakov gave him a little soup, and then he got the right to being the firstborn, which is tremendous. Because we know that if you're going to follow what the Torah says, from a Torah level, the Bechor gets double. That means if a parent, just making up numbers, have a net worth of $10 million, say easier, of $9 million, these are just numbers for an example, and they have 2 boys. The first boy gets 6 million, the second one gets 3 million. They sold that away. Plus all of the other benefits, halachic benefits for being the firstborn. So the Zohar relates, they asked Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai Rashbi, why didn't Yaakov just give him the dish for free? Just give him the lentil soup. What do you got to sell the firstborn right for him?
With?
This is Zohar. They asked Rabbi Shimon Ben Yochai this question. What was he doing? Come on.
He was waiting for the time to get it. He wasn't worthy of it.
Who wasn't worthy? Yaakov?
Esav wasn't worthy of it.
He wasn't worthy? Okay, so you gotta do it through this like deceitful way over here. You're ripping off your brother like this. So you look in the Zohar touches upon this. The truth of the matter is everything that you've learned about this episode until now, forget it. It's all wrong. Because according to the Rashbam, there was no trade-off over here. There wasn't a barter deal between the firstborn right and the soup. The deal was financial. To quote the language of the Rashbam on Pasuk Lamed Aleph over here, Kloimar la'alter, miyad mocher li chelik bechorasecha haroi lecha b'mamon. He was saying, sell me the rights for being the firstborn for money. I'm giving you money. B'mamon she'etemlecha.
Which was a given.
Yeah, it doesn't specify the exact amount. You have to assume it was more than $3. It was all about the cash. That's what it was. It wasn't about a little soup over here. So then how does the soup come into play? Good question. The Rashbam continues. It's the grandson of Rashi, by the way. The food was symbolic. The food demonstrated that, okay, here is an actual sign that we are agreeing upon it. And it was solidifying the deal. It was, so to say, the signature, the handshake, so to say. That's the Rashbam.
There's an answer Rav Shimon Yochai's question.
Yeah.
Because it was a ripoff.
Correct. This would answer Rashbi's question.
I thought
The
it
question
wouldn't.
they asked him. What?
It wouldn't.
No, it would. Because you're saying, how did you sell the firstborn right for some food, for lentil soup? You didn't, says the Rashbam. The lentil soup was the signature, so to say. That was the stamp of approval saying that this actually occurred.
Whatever money you would give him, it would still be a ripoff.
Right? Well, the money, obviously, we're assuming is a lot more value than a $10 soup, lentil soup, right? No matter how good the soup is, you go into stores now, you're not paying more than $20, $30 for a soup. Paying $10, $15 at a restaurant, sit down, whatever, you know? When you get money involved, you could be paying millions of dollars over here. Granted, all the money in the world isn't worth it, but still, it would be less of a ripoff, so to say. Comes along my great-great-grandfather and says, wait a second, this is in his Nachlas Tzvi. Page Nuntes, Shulam Fire Tzvi Gross. He slices and dices this up over here. He quotes this Zohar, he quotes this Rashbam. He says, wait a second. What's going on over here? The Kasha Adayin, Lama loy nosen Yaakov le'esav shayarav v'samei lechav v'lishus hashemachal mikoidim es b'choira bara momon asher katzavita. Did the whole sale happen when Esav was super duper hungry? When he was so thirsty? You know, when you go out, I mean, not me, but people who are in business, they go out, they take clients out, they go for a business meal, they call it.
Yeah, there's no better way to do it than through food.
Exactly. You do it through food. Everyone's in a good mood. Everyone's 100%. That's how business is done. Everyone's happy. You don't do business deals when you're hungry. What's going on? Why was this before? It's a good question, especially according to the Rashbam. This was the seal. The deal was made before. Comes along the Nachas Tzvi, genius. Oh, beautiful Torah from my great-great-grandfather over here. The Gemara in Eruvin on Samachay teaches us, if someone was intoxicated and a sale was done, shichor shemachar. Let's say someone was intoxicated and he sold something when he was in the intoxicated state. Ein mechiroso mechira. The sale isn't halachically a valid sale. Because the guy, he wasn't sane. He was in an altered state of mind. Under the influence. That's only talking about if he was drunk, like how drunk Lot was. Yeah, very, very drunk. So now we understand why Yaakov wanted to make the sale before Esav started eating and drinking. Because you know what happens when someone like Esav eats and drinks. He's not just eating and drinking to satisfy his temporary desires because he's totally hungry and he wants to quench his thirst.
No middle ground.
No middle. He's going the whole way. He's going to get very, very drunk. And therefore, he will get as drunk as Lot, and there will be a concern on the legitimacy of the sale. Therefore, the sale had to specifically transpire prior to Esav eating and drinking. Not last week. This piece.
No, I understand. What's the very symbolism behind the bookmark?
No, this is
The daughters?
this is my great-great-grandfather's granddaughter. In other words, my mother's mother made this for me. So I keep it in here. She's no longer with us, but I keep it in here because this was my mother's mother's Father's father. Who wrote this? Nachlasvi. So therefore, I keep it in there. It's his granddaughter.
What is it?
We get
What is
five
it?
generations connected together. That's my thing.
Or is it second?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wait, what is that?
It's called like a bookmark, but it's made out of leaves. She was very artistic, my grandmother. Yeah,
And
actually,
wait, how old is it? How old is it?
I don't know, 20 years. I mean, I don't know. Maybe she made it.
Oh. Hey,
Let's
you still
continue
got
with this
what
idea
happened?
to try
You
to.
still got ruler? Where's that ruler?
No, this is a ruler. That's something else.
Yeah, but
I had
how
this
old is
with
that
me.
ruler?
This ruler is 18 years old.
From,
I actually just last week I almost thought I lost it, but I found
from,
from Israel. Maybe someone gave it to me. I almost thought I lost it. I had a panic mode. One of my chavrusas immediately gave $10 to Mayor Balanese. Found it shortly after. Can't make that up. The question is, why does this define who Esav was? He ate some red soup. Right? Now, that's a deep question over here. Some explain, right, what this red stuff, it's lentil soup they call it, it was used to console Yitzchak. Because Yitzchak was coming from the Beis HaKvaros, the cemetery, from burying Avram. Right? This is where a lot of it comes from. Baichal Avelus, food for mourners, comes from this episode. That's where it is. And the custom is to cook food for the mourner. It's called the Sudas Havara. And after everyone comes back from the cemetery, Esav sees this food and he says, "Give me this." Now, anyone who saw this food would realize that something deeper is going on. There was a levaya going on, funeral procession. There was a real funeral for someone great this day who passed, Avram. Anyone else would say something deeper is going on over here. Esav was busy with these five terrible sins, like we just learned from Targum Yonasan Ben Uziel. That was the problem. He was macking the external, the eternal, excuse me. He was macking what was truly important, and that was very terrible. This year, though, I learned a beautiful explanation that sheds light on this topic. Beautifully said. Many pages about this Rabbi Zilberstein has going into this, adding to it. As we already discussed, after Esav said, "Give me this red stuff," the Torah says that his name is called Edom because of this episode. It's like this is what defines him. Question is, why is the Torah choosing a seeming completely insignificant act, minor sin that Esav did, when you have these big sins, murder? Why does this define Esav? Furthermore, rule number one about real estate ownership: location, location, location. What's in the real estate of the Torah itself? This episode. This defines Esav. This red stuff, this lentil soup. Most people never even heard about these five sins. They don't know Torah and Yonis and Bein Uziel. They don't learn Medrash Rabbah. So why is it that the Torah decided to publicize in the best location about this soup? What's going on over here? What's the significance? Halu Davru. It's not a chapel. It's a wonderment. Rather, what we see from here explains what Zilberstein is Aleinu L'Shabeach, is that from the fact that the Torah specifically decided to title Esav Edom, red, based on this episode. By the way, there's a lot of discussions why red, other than the red hair. But anyways, this is a sign that this is what Esav was lacking. This is the primary issue with Esav, what he was lacking. In fact, this episode and these negative characteristics that Esav possessed, which led to this episode with the food, caused all of the other sins that Esav was involved with. That's right. Your eyes should open like that.
This caused it?
Yes.
Because the normal way of learning is they was
Yep.
coming back from it.
No, this caused all of it. This is an eye popper. Yeah. How so?
They really wiping away what you like.
Oh yeah, this is beautiful over here. How so? Let's say person he just cares about the temporary. He just says right now, instant gratification. He's not thinking. He's not waiting. He's not going to be tisiyai shiv daiso. He has no self-awareness. His mind won't get settled. Zero patience whatsoever. He says, right now, just give me it. I want to fulfill my temporary desires and my lusts. And just finish it. That type of individual is at a very, very low level. Even worse than someone who's transgressing bigger sins. And at the end, he's going to have a very bitter ending. It's not going to result good at all, well at all. What's the nature of the Yetzer Hara, evil inclination? What does he do to us? Let's say we have a desire for something, yeah? So what happens? You say, all right. Yetzer Hara says, let's get this guy out of self-control. And he invests all of his energy, the evil inclination, to prevent us from having self-control. Because he knows that if this tactic is properly executed, aka, and we lose our self-control, and our intellect, our mind is no longer ruling over our body, he doesn't need to do anything else. Show's over, we're finished. We got nothing left. AKA, it's all about the self-control, constraining ourselves. You understand? Self-control. Once the Yetzer Hara gets us and we lose our self-control and our mind isn't ruling us, but our body is ruling our mind, finished.
So then
We could do any sin.
So how does that come into play here?
That's what happened over here. Once Esav lost his self-control, once the food overtook him and his mind was no longer ruling over his body, that's what led to all of the prohibited other activities that he was involved with, all those other sins that he was involved with.
Because that
And it never ends.
It snowballed.
Yes, it's not only a snowball. Once you do a sin, let's say a person says, oh, I just gotta kill that guy. You kill him, it's over, he's dead. But once you lose your self-control, once mentally the evil inclination gets us, it's not just once you finish that sin, it's over. Party's only started. You understand?
Mhm.
That's why the Torah said, this is beautiful explanation. That's why the Torah said, look, this is Esav's name, because this is his mahos. His essence is his body is ruling over his mind as opposed to his mind ruling over his body. Here we added, this is what the Choivos Halavavos is all about. This is the Gemara in Yuma Kavches that says that Hira Aveira is Kasha. Marveira. Why is the thought of sinning worse than actually sinning? The answer is when you sin. The Yetzer Hara got the best of you. You ate out, not kosher dairy, IHOP. Great, one and done. You satisfied your lust, but when you have in your mind, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do that, I gotta do that, and you still want more and more and more, it never ends, even though the sin's done. In order to bring a person into a negative category over here, the evil inclination doesn't need to do a drastic act over here. All he has to do is bring him to negative territory over here. Get his mind out of play. It's illusions. That's what it is. Obstacle illusion, it's an illusion. A lot of times you go and you see someone performing a magic trick. Right? It's a whole discussion, magic tricks in general. Halachically, if you could do magic, I mean, you have Jewish religious magicians and everything. They say before it's not real magic. That's what they announce before to get out of the Shiloh. You go FAO Schwartz, they demonstrate, they do something like this that he's talking about. How is it that you see someone, he has one coin in his hand, and he does something, and then he has two coins? Think he created the second coin? Right? Now, everyone's like, oh, wow, wow, oh, oh. Everyone's excited about it. Oh. But someone who's using his brain understands what's happening over here. So-called magician, he's got another coin up his sleeve, and he's moving his hands super duper fast, and he has a blind spot that no one could see. And that's how he has success, and he brings the second coin to his hand. That's exactly what the evil inclination tries to do to us. He says, look, you got desires? I'm gonna now show you the false desires over here. Imaginatory, fake. Nothing's real over here. I'm gonna show you, so to say, that there's mamashos, that there's substance over here. Truth of the matter is there's absolutely nothing. It's all fake. And someone uses his brains. He's gonna say, oh, yeah, you're right. This is fake. There's nothing real about this. And he won't be continued in that negative direction. It's like chaff that's getting blown away to the wind. The wicked people are involved with. It's all fake. The Torah therefore decided to call Esav Edom red. Why? Because of this episode, because of the lentil soup, the red stuff. Not on the other sins. Because this is the who shoyer shachet. The characteristics that were involved with this and the lack of self-control was the root of all other sins in the past and in the future. It was this concept that caused everything.
That he let the Yitzhahara alone.
Exactly. And mentally he was out of it.
That goes against the Targum, though, right? We saw the Targum specifically said that he did all these sins and then he came, right?
He did those sins, but it's because of the mentality that this type of idea took over his brain, everything before everything. It was all because of this. This is the definition of the mahus of Esav. This is his essence. This is the problem. Right? If you want to solve a problem, you go after the root of the problem. Right? You have vines that are growing up. I remember on our property when we first bought it 7 years ago. There were pasha vines everywhere. They were growing on our detached garage, growing on the fence in the back. They were so much. I used to cut them off and put them into the garbage cans. I must have filled up 20 garbage cans. I'm making up over the years. And then I finally realized, you know how to get rid of them? Don't worry about all that stuff that's growing up higher. That comes later.
The roots.
Get the roots out. Because if you get the roots out, then they can't grow. This is the root of the problem of Esav. Get the roots out. Yeah. Don't let him, once he's in your mind, don't let him play mind games with you. It's all about mentally. Oivos halavavos, the lave, the machshava. It's all about the mind, all about what we're thinking. You see, it's all too common with all ages. Someone could be in one place, he ain't there. His mind is totally in a different place. You got to get your mind in the picture. That's the idea over here. Woe to a person who is unable to distinguish and differentiate between external desires and something which is truly important and internal. This is what pious and righteous people do. They're always looking in the right direction. They're always patient to make decisions and make the proper decisions, not just to run after temporary lusts. Brings a proof from Boaz over here. Also from Yaakov. Yaakov said, you know what? I'll work for you, loved one, 7 years. for your daughter Rachel. 7 years. Just say I'll work for you 1 year. Why 7? Why would you want to drag out and increase the amount of work that you need to do? What's wrong with just saying a year or two? If he tries to haggle you up, say 3 or 4.
By some,
Say 7. Yaakov is a summel of kedusha, symbolic of holiness, complete holiness. B'chir sheba'avos, chosen of all the avos. That from Yitzchak Yaakov. He knew in order to give birth to the 12 tribes, Yud Beit Shvatim, he needs to cleanse himself properly, make himself very holy, very, very pure. That's why he didn't get married younger, so to say, at the age of 40 when his father Yitzchak did. He waited later. And even when his father sent him off to get married, at that age, he was 63. He's going to do a little mathematics over here, a little calculation, counting over here.
right.
Cheshbonis. He was 63, yeah?
That's what the Torah says, right?
That's right. What did Yaakov do then? No, the Gemara and Megillah ended the first parak. 14 years.
Right.
14 plus 63
77.
gets you to the... See? Very good at counting.
See, without the cat.
Without the calculator. That's it. That's how I know you got the CPA. That's what it is, right? CPA? That's a... Yeah, CPA. That's what it's called. So you sat and you learned 77 we're talking about. And he said, you know what? I still have to grow more. And he said, I have to undergo afflictions, part of my growth process, in the house of Lavan. Why?
Belly of the beast?
Yeah, why? It's afflictions. Because all of this prepared himself to give birth to the Shvatim, the holy tribes. This is all needed.
He was punished for it.
Punished for what?
He wasn't punished for Yeshiva Shem Be'eva.
Yeah.
But he was punished for being too long away from his father.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's another topic that we could delve into another time.
Okay.
But we see that this holiness had to grow specifically from him refining himself, aka Savlanus. We discussed in the past in RabbiBlan.com, it's on the Musar section, on the Ali Shore section, all the Vadim on Savlanus. We discussed patience. Ali Shore, patience. That was tremendous stuff over there. That was fire, absolute excellent fire, what we did over there. It's all about patience. It's just something that people do not have enough of nowadays in our fast-moving pace, especially in the Big Apple here in New York. No patience for nothing. And he said, let me get 7 more years so I could acquire this patience. I could work on myself more. Cleanse myself more. That's what number one thing you need with little kids, patience. That's it. They just move slower. They do everything slower. They need attention, etc. Yeah, everyone, patience. There's a lot more to discuss on this. We only have a few more minutes remaining, however. The idea is that this is why he was called red. Because of this act over here. Truth of the matter is, Esav even after didn't realize what he did was so bad. What's the proof to this? It says after Yaakov nasan Esav lechem etc. Yaakov gave him all the food. This is in Chafei Lamed Dalet. He ate it. He drank. Vayakom v'yelach. He got up and he went. Torah needs to tell us that he got up and went. Finished eating. Where else do you go when you finish eating? You don't sit there all day.
You say where he went.
Okay, then say where he went, but who cares that he went? What does the Torah need to say that after he ate and drank, he got up? We're going to think that he sat there forever for the rest of his life?
You say he went, yeah.
You're going to say he got up and went. Yishleimar, Shaq could be like this. There's on the first step of the sale, we would maybe judge him favorably. Guy was famished. He was starving to death. He was going to dehydrate. We judge him favorably. Therefore, it was a good deal. Because what's all the money? What's everything worth in the world if you're going to die of starvation, of dehydration?
Yeah.
Judge him favorably. He needed it. Anyone who's famished, dehydrating when needed. The Torah reveals to us, even after he was satiated, his thirst was quenched. He's totally, everything was good from a physical perspective. He had no charata, no regret then and there that he sold the firstborn right. On the contrary, he said, oh, look at this deal that I got. Yaakov got this lame firstborn right, and I got something that matters, so to say. I got that red stuff. I got food, drinks. That's why the Torah says, by Yaakov v'yelech, he got up and went. He had no regret for what he did after whatsoever. It only came much later on. But he had no regret over here. And this is really the proof that we know that he despised and belittled the rights of the firstborn. He got up, he was showing it as no shavyus, no value to me whatsoever. Who cares? And this is why the Torah calls Esav specifically Edom, red, after this episode with the red stuff and not everything else. Because this is what defines him, and this is what led to everything else. This is what it's about. Thought this was a beautiful idea. This wasn't even everything that he says. It's even more on this. But this is a summary of some of the ideas with tying in the other comments from my good grandfather and everything. So, anyways, it's a beautiful piece.
Very nice.
Good understand.
Just shows that he just didn't. He just walked away from it.
Yeah, no regret.
No regrets.
Couldn't care less.
Until
until later on.
Later,
okay. Later on, that's something else. But at least right now, even when he was full. Yeah, which this is actually opposite of Nachlas Tzvi, because according to Nachlas Tzvi's shot, he was so intoxicated that he couldn't even think anyway. So, but again, that's how the Torah works. You have a lot of different explanations of how to interpret something, and deep stuff. Just make
Very good.
Yeah,
very good. Okay, good.
All right, Mitzvah Shem continue with Ochos Chanukah.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. All right, everyone. Everyone should have a great day.
Likewise.
All right. Bye.
No,
No, this is.